So I am delighted now to host a session on Greek shipping at the forefront of global trade, industry, and thought leadership. And we just had the ringing of the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Nikos Tsakos led the group. And I'm delighted that for this discussion, we have with us Mr. Nikolas Tsakos, who is the founder, president and CEO of Tsakos Energy Navigation, listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Nikos has also been the chairman of Intertanko for 4 years, and therefore he has a larger industry footprint beyond his own corporate presence, Tsakos Energy Navigation being one of the major global independent energy transporters. And I would like to thank him, of course, for being a steady supporter of Capital Link forums and of this forum, being a lead sponsor for the whole time this forum has been in existence. I'd like to thank also Costas, the senior reporter from the Wall Street Journal, for hosting us today and for having the discussion with Nikos on critical topics on the global industry and, of course, on Greek shipping. And without any further delay, I will turn it over to Costas and Nikos, and thank you both for being with us.
Thank you, Nikos.
Thank you, Nikos. Mr. Tsakos, we're really glad to have you this year at the event. Let me just start with something that is sometimes difficult to understand by many in the greater transport community. Greece is a small nation, but is in the forefront of shipping for decades. It is the dominant nation, both in terms of tonnage and in terms of ships. How will a small country like Greece continue to maintain its dominant position, given that other nations, especially from Asia, like China, have state funding to fund their fleets, and they have all the financing that they need with easy terms to up their scale?
Well, Costas, thank you very much, and good afternoon to all. It has been an exciting virtual day. Last year it was an exciting live day. I hope next year we can go back to the live ringing of the bell, and thank you all for organizing it, Nick Bournosis and his team. Greece, as you rightly said, it's been on the forefront of shipping for generations from the ancient years. It's a country that is surrounded by sea, and it controls 55% of the European Union merchant marine fleet and more than 20% of the world fleet. So, I mean, that is by itself an amazing achievement for a country of around 10 million people. Greece is the size of a small village in China, but it still controls the majority of world trade. It is a matter of tradition, going back to the ancient years and the mythology, the Odyssey, the Iliad. You can see how important sea has been for Greece, and it has transcended through the various generations so far here. The biggest risk we are facing is the cutoff of the chain of young people going to sea. I think this is what has kept generation after generation for thousands of years reinventing themselves. That's what we call the startup shops. And there are many startup shops out of Greece for people who start with 2-3 ships, actually manned by relatives and financed by the local community. So it's a very basic understanding of the Greek culture to be into shipping, and the human factor, because it's an industry which is the human factor is very important. If this is lost, I think Greece, it will be very difficult to maintain its predominance against the gigantic countries and all of the subsidies that they get.
I understand. If we could just elaborate a little bit on this. Going back to the country itself, how much does shipping and related services contribute to the Greek economy. And to your point, what will it take? Do we have enough of young people looking to become seafarers? What will it take to convince somebody to sail? And I understand that your family, your business group is also involved in education of seafarers.
Well, I think it is obvious to say that if you are controlling 20% of the world fleet, it's impossible to man all those vessels with Greek crew. The big effort is to maintain young people coming up the ranks from the various positions in engineering and the captain's rank. And of course, shipping today is not what it was 40, 50 years ago. The vessels are connected to the world. They are merchant vessels of the last technology. And the culture, you do not go to sea like the old days for 2 or 3 years at a time. You might spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months and then go back home and come again. It is an uphill battle, but I think we will be winning it.
All right. My next question that would be a big challenge that has happened over the past year with the Corona-19 pandemic. One of the big issues in shipping, or probably the biggest issue in shipping, was crew changes. Can you just explain to us why is it so difficult to make these people, in the eyes of officials, the seafarers, I mean, as essential personnel? A lot of them have been at sea for about a year, weeks, or months above and beyond their contracts, and there are thousands waiting to go to work, but they cannot get to the ships.
Well, yes, I think the COVID-19 has created a very uneven playing field for all of us. We are experiencing operational and commercial circumstances we have never seen before. However, the human factor, since our industry is very human intensive, is the most important one. I mean, we have cases on a daily basis where energy and actions are taken in order to safeguard the mental and physical health of our crew. It is a lot of countries have taken unilateral actions not to allow seafarers to board or to sign off or board on ships. And we have people that have been on board, have not seen their families physically than more than a year. I mean, this is not the right way to go. Through the International Maritime Organization, IMO, we are trying to coordinate and make this process run smoothly, but in this very, very challenging and at times it's very hard to achieve.
Another issue, Mr. Tsakos, is an uphill issue also for shipping, is the environmental regulations. The IMO has set its targets to halve CO2 emissions by 2050. The European Union is taking its own initiatives to bring this target or a different target further earlier on, 2030. These things are conflicting, the proposals are conflicting, and sometimes even the laws that have passed by regulators are conflicting at times for the shipping community. Tell me, please, where we stand as far as green initiatives are concerned, and when do you see the next step in shipping, major step in shipping, to achieve this goal? Do you think that, for how long basically are you going to be using the same ships as you do today?
Well, I think this is also another significant channel that we will have to navigate going forward. but we have to, I think, pinpoint that shipping is the most efficient, economical, and environmentally friendly method in transporting vast quantities of goods with a very small environmental footprint, which shipping is always trying to reduce. Just to put it in perspective for people who do not follow the industry closely, 90% of world trade is been achieved with 2.8% negative contribution to the environment, which for me, it's still way, way, way too much. But this is as much smaller percentage than 10%, which is the aviation industry, or close to 20%, which is the road and trucks transportation of goods. So still, I think I need to make clear that although shipping is not the major polluter, it's going to make every effort it can to achieve its targets for 2030 and 2050. We are not, shipping is so much dependent on the environment that there is no way that any shortcuts are going to be accepted in order to achieve this.
Can you tell me how the ship of the future, the green ship, when we eventually reach the point of zero emissions, can you envisage what kind of fuel is it going to be using to be powered? Is it going to be ammonia? Is it going to be biofuels? Is it going to be hydrogen? Is it going to be batteries? I understand that all these are alternatives that the industry is looking at, but there are issues. There are issues with space. You have to cut your cargo space to put in hydrogen tanks, for instance, or batteries. There are a number of issues. How do you see, Mr. Tsakos, the ship of the future?
Well, I think the ship of the future really is going to be going back to the future. We will start having sails again, Costas. Well, that's not a joke. People are trying that also, because wind is a very powerful energy contributor. So you never know. There are tests that are happening. I mean, even if I knew, I would not tell you, because it will, destroy my advantage to our competition. But no, joking apart, I think right now, short term, we have the solution that the IMO has proposed from January 2023, which is the reduction of speed on existing vessels. I mean, that will have a significant effect in reduce. There is no reason to build ships. It's like on the road. Right now, you have a speed limit of 55 or 60 in the United States and whatever in kilometers in Europe. But the cars that we build are able to actually, navigate 3 times the speed. So it's the same in shipping. I think we are going to be having a speed limit from now until 2030 that will significantly reduce the emissions and give time to the scientists and to the engineers and to the shipyards to work on their solutions, be it hydrogen, be it ammonia, be it natural gas, which it's another good option to build the right ship. So I think slow steaming is the medium term, I would say, quick fix it.
It could be the quick fix. Your clients and the people that you charter your ships would complain on the flip side of the coin that this will give them less service, less port calls, less frequent port calls. And it would create even more problems. I'm sure you know that, especially in the container shipping market, there are calls for faster steaming because service is slow for various reasons. What do you have to say to that?
I believe that the majority of our vessels are vessels that are contributing to inventory storage. So the big vessels, the VLCCs, they're just moving oil from one refinery to another, from one deposit to the other. Iron ore actually is piled up on existing iron ore. So it's really, it's not something that has a due date. So I think it can be for a big part of the fleet, instead of having to, I would say, speed without a cause. It's like rebel without a cause, rebel without a cause. Here it's speed without a cause. We will have ways to reduce this for inventory. Of course, when you have emergencies, because the weather is bad or because you have a specific reason, there will be allowances. But I think the quick solution until from now until 2030, until technology finds its real calling, is a very good solution.
And let me close with this. Talk to us a little bit about the tanker market, since you have deep knowledge of this. We've seen very, very wild swings with the COVID-19 pandemic and the accompanying collapse in oil prices. Tankers have been taken out of operation to be used as floating storage of oil. The tankers have also had issues in the Persian Gulf, and then from there on, the wild swings in freight rates, from way above $100,000 a day to less than $20,000 a day. You've seen it all. So can I tell you, how do you see the market in general for energy products going forward, and where do you think we will see again a normal market where somehow demand will meet supply?
Well, you are right. It has been what we call a roller coaster year. The first 6 months, people were, natural panic with the epidemic, and people started buying vast quantities of inventorying oil. And that's when the tanker market, because of the contango swings also, the rates were very strong. And the second 6 months, the market has been, the tanks are full and people need less and less. People are not moving around. So naturally, the demand for our services is much lesser now, and the market is at significantly lower levels. In general, on an average, I think 2020 will be considered a significant, a positive rate year for the tanker market. Although none of us would like to live through another 2020 as positive as it was. I think I was reading a magazine, one of the trade magazines, and rightly called it the worst year ever. And so we're counting the days for this to move forward. Moving forward, we hope by September next year, things will be normalized again, and we will be looking at earnings that can be more predictable and more stable.
One last question, Mr. Tsakos. You run a big fleet of tankers. Do you think that the petroleum products, as we move to greener solutions, whether it's air, it's solar, it's biofuels, will become less significant? Do you think that over the next 5 years, for instance, you and me will pump their cars, because, as you said, there's the big environmental footprint coming in from cars and trucks. We'll pump up our cars with electricity rather than gasoline.
Yeah, I mean, this was the main question before the COVID-19 became the main question. That's what we were dealing in the seminar we had, the live seminar we had in New York a year ago. I believe that the world will be making efforts and progress towards a greener future. I am not sure that the electric or the battery factor is going to be the environmental footprint of batteries, and the recycling has really been completely analyzed and determined. However, also, if in order for you to charge your car with a battery, with an electric car, electricity has to be developed somewhere, and which a part of it will still come from fossil oils. So I think looking forward, the sustainability of the business is there, but not to the degree that perhaps it was in the 70s and the 80s. But of course, energy comes in other forms, like hydrogen, like ammonia, like natural gas. Ships are transporting these parts of the energy. So I do not think the tanker business will disappear. We will be carrying different cargoes.
So Tsakos, it's been a pleasure to have you at the event this year. Again, I'd like to wish you, your business, and your family happy holidays.
Thank you. Stay safe, and hopefully we can see all of you at least Capital Link in March if everything is good. Thank you very much.